Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashai, Baharakah, Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the Lord's elect. This is Luke 21 and verse 25. It reads, "And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring." All right, so this sign here in verse 25 is being displayed in the earth right now. All right, showing that we're in these times. As we're in Luke, the 21st chapter, Yahawashi is giving his disciples the signs of his second coming. All right, so in the beginning of the verse, it says, "And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars." And those are your solar eclipses, your blood moons, right? The chariot sightings that's being seen worldwide. All right, there's all type of astronomical events going on in the heavens, right? Especially of the past few years, these events have been more frequent. It says, "And upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring." So the nations are distressed right now on all different levels, right? On all levels. Because like Proverbs 29:2 tells us, when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And the wicked, the heathen, the so-called white man, he's in power right now. All right. You know, you got the central bankers, the elite Edomite banking families, and then you have their governments, this beast system, right? That's who has carnal power on this earth right now. And the earth is completely destroyed, and everything, all creation is mourning. All right. All creation is mourning right now. Okay. And then you have these actual nations getting ready to go to war, right? Fight the war of Armageddon, World War III. You see the tension that's going on in the earth right now. We all see the videos out there of people worldwide, you know, international news. So also this is dealing with uproars. You know, when any country you go to, the country is divided. You know, you have people, a good portion of people who cry out, complain, and protest and riot and try to overthrow the wicked leaders of that government, right? Or overthrow their country's government, right? All over the earth, there's uproars, all right? The Lord said it will be distress of nations. Let's go into this word distress. In the Greek, sunake or sunoke, it says a holding together, a narrowing, the contracting part of a way, but metaphorically, straits, distress, anguish, right? Anxiety. All right. Especially these people here in Babylon the Great, America. You know, they're in the spirit of uncertainty because they don't have any hope. They don't believe in this truth, right? Their whole trust and belief is in this current system. So because prices are rising, you know, America's at war. There's all type of madness, you know, going on. All right. They gotta have anxiety about life, you know, and they put on these fronts every day. But really they're distressed. This is a plague that the Lord has brought upon these people. It says with perplexity. Let's go into the word perplexity. We got to go to the root word, which is aporeo in the Greek. to be without resources, right? And famine is coming, a physical famine of products and food, water, but also a famine of this word, a famine of the truth. It says to be in straits. Yeah, everyone out here in Babylon has mental health issues. All right. And, the rest of the world's not excluded either. It says to be left wanting, to be embarrassed. You got the leader, the so-called leader of this country, the puppet leader, Donald Trump, making tweets and, saying all type of crazy shit. And he represents these Edomites. They're embarrassed. To be in doubt, not to know which way to turn, to be at loss with oneself, be in doubt, not to know how to decide or what to do, to be perplexed. Right, all those people who go out and hold up signs and march the streets and protest, they're in this spirit. Right, because they don't know what to do. Like going out and protesting will do something. Like the devil's just gonna say, you know what, y'all right. My bad. I'm gonna make things right. No, it's in vain. All right, these people in power need to be destroyed, and that's what the Lord, who they call Jesus Christ, Yahawashi, that's what he's coming to do. All right, that's exactly what he's coming to do. Let's get a quick precept. See, it's in Revelation. Let me type it in. This is Revelation 11 and 15. And the seventh angel sounded. All right, what does that seventh angel represent? The seventh trump being blown, right? The final judgment, which is the nuclear destruction. All right, where America will be turned into a lake of fire. America's Babylon the Great. All right. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world, right? This present world we're in right now, are become the kingdoms of our Lord. What does that mean? All right, that means these current governments in power, right? These rulerships, these dynasties will be thrown down by the Lord at his arrival. It says, and of his anointed, right? It says Christ, which is a Greek title, meaning anointed or Messiah. All right. In the Hebrew, it would be Mashiach. It says, and he shall reign forever and ever. Right. Reign where? Here on this earth. All right. And this is a part of Yahawashi's inheritance. All right. He was promised this when you go to Psalm, the 2nd chapter. And the Lord's elect are joined into him in rulership, joint rulers. This is Psalm 2. See, it says the reign of the Lord's anointed. Right? And I'm going to just, let me just start from the top and read through it. It says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? And that's the heathen are these other nations out here. And they're raging, planning the new world order, under a technocracy and a microchip. All of this wickedness they plan on furthermore spreading throughout this earth, trying to cut off the true Israelites. It reads, the kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together. Yeah, the central bankers, these other various heathen nations. And the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will decree the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, Thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with the rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. All right. So that's what Yahushua is coming to do to these nations. So going back to Luke 21, again, verse 25, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. All right. And the sea and the waves, that's twofold. Literally, these various super moons, full, even regular full moons, manipulate the tides in the ocean. All right. But then also figuratively, the sea, the waters represent people. All right. Roaring, uproaring, protesting. And that's exactly what's going on right now. All right. Everywhere you go around the world, the citizens are trying to overthrow or just simply rebel against the government. 2nd Ezra 9. The point is in 3, starting from the top. He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself. And that's what we're doing. That's why we make these videos. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou well understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And right, and we clearly see the Lord is visiting this place through prophecy. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. And right now, earthquakes are happening, damn near every second of the day. Somewhere there's an earthquake going on, whether it's small or big. Okay, and then it's the point, uproars of the people in the world. And that's what we see, globally. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Right? So the Most High already declared what's going on right now and what's to come from the very beginning. You have prophets from the very beginning speaking his word. All right. Enoch, going back to the book of Genesis, he prophesied of Yahushua returning with those angels. You see, and that's how this whole thing is going to conclude. So let's close out with that. Jude quoted it here, and let's see, verse 14. And Enoch also the 7th from Adam, right? Enoch, the 7th descendant of Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints. Right. The Lord is coming with millions of angels for judgment. It says to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds, which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches, which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Okay, so that's what the Lord is coming for, judgment. Nothing nice. That's why the scriptures in Amos say, woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. For what end is it for you? Let's grab this in Isaiah real fast. Yeah, that's the spirit I came here, because it's actually Isaiah 66. But let's read this, though. That's the spirit. Isaiah 65:13. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai power. Behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servants shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. All right. So, hey, the Lord is only going to be with his elect during this time that we're in the days to come. But what I was looking for here is Isaiah 66:15. For behold, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. This is what Enoch saw. All right, this is what all the prophets saw. Yahweh Shai returning to this time that we're in right now. It reads, for by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai shall be many. So when Yahweh Shai returns with those angels, you know, many people on this earth that are walking around, you know, with the chip, you know, they're going to get zapped to powder. You know, 2nd Ezra's, the 13th chapter, goes into great detail on that. Right, so now let's close it out. In Matthew 24. Let's see, it might be in Luke 21 as well. Yep. Luke 21:27. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. All right. So that's what's coming. That's how this whole thing is going to conclude, with Yahweh Shai returning. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. In the NLT, it says, so when all these things begin to happen, stand and look up, for your salvation is near. Right. Because again, Yahweh Shai, you know, his name means he savior, he delivered. That's our salvation, you know, for his elect. Right. We still got to get it in Matthew 24. Because it goes into detail. Verse 31. And then he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. All right. So during the time of Yahweh Shai's arrival, the elect scattered throughout the earth will be delivered from the tribulation and destruction that's going to be taking place on this earth. All right. So Lord willing, you as sincere believers are a part of the elect, which we fervently hope and believe that we are. So all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Baharakah Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the Lord's elect. Shalom.